Okay, welcome everyone. Just a couple of logistics and things before we get started. The first thing I want you to note is I did send out an email today so you can see the link is in there, and that link will be there to our Zoom that we're using today and on Fridays. It should be the same. We're not planning to change anything. If we do, we'll for sure let you know, and you'll get an email before we hop on live. The other thing I wanted to make sure is that you did get this journal companion that was created to go along
Hmm.
with what we're doing. Uh, it does have all day five thing, everything in there for day five and day six, technically, since we're doing a Q&A and a celebration. At the end,
Woohoo!
we it is okay to look ahead a little bit. However, saving some of that for as we go through each day and keeping our focus for where we're at. But I wanted to make sure that you all saw that and you were able to receive it and have us as a part of what we're doing today before we go in and I start the presentation. So if anybody did not receive it or you're looking for it, please put a quick comment in the chat and Juanita and I will take care of it and make sure that you have it. So I appreciate that and just wanted to make sure we were good. Okay, I'm going to go back to stop sharing my screen and then we will put the PowerPoint up. Here we go. Let me push play on our PowerPoint. It is in Canva. There we go. There's the present button. Okay, cool. And I hope it still shows up. Can you still see? Did it pop up with the larger one on the screen? Yay! It did. It worked. Okay,
Yay.
cool. Win. We're on the right path already. So, welcome
Woohoo!
so much to the True Self and Freedom Through Forgiveness 5-day transformational event. I'm Emily. Juanita's here. We are excited and delighted to have you here. We have a theme for each day that's really exciting to be able to go through. And both of us are very, very appreciative of the forgiveness that we've had in our lives. So we're going to do a little bit of an introduction and share more about ourselves. But I just wanted to let you know you're in the right spot if you signed up. And if you signed up and or you didn't sign up and you're here, well, welcome anyways. Um, I don't see anyone that hasn't, but we enjoy having people here. So a little bit about what we're going to do is here's our agenda. We are going to talk, like I mentioned, introduction of ourselves. Prepare yourself because we do have a couple questions so that we can get to know you too. I will share that the chat is not shared in the recorded video. I'm sorry for those of you that might be watching this later. However, feel free to put it in the comments when you're watching this later or anything there. If you do want to connect with others within the community, we also want to hold if people want to keep their privacy, which is why we're not sharing the chat from the Zoom. And we're going to do a little bit of a life assessment. So figuring out how are we doing now before we get started. So that way we can see what the transition is. Part of it is if we don't measure what we're doing, then we don't really know exactly what the transition is and how it's supported and helped us do the transition. So then we're going to talk a little bit about forgiveness. Both Juanita and I have different perspectives on it, but they do connect together really, really well, which is why we both love
Mhm.
working with each other. And then we'll talk about the event and even dive into day one. So get ready to listen, communicate, share with us, but also have that moment at the end where we are going to go through day one today. So I'm Emily, as I mentioned. I'm going to let Juanita introduce herself first. I've been doing enough talking already. I will jump back in when she starts that process.
All right. I am Juanita, and I am a forgiveness and self-care empowerment coach. I help clients to release the clogged up feelings of, those darker feelings, the shame, the guilt, the resentment, the regrets, things that we have a tendency to stuff down. And either we tell ourselves we'll deal with it later. And you know what? Later doesn't come. And unfortunately, those feelings seep out into different areas that we never intended them to seep out of. So that's what I do as a forgiveness and self-care empowerment coach is that I help you to walk through and release those things so that you can live a lighter, brighter, and more free life. And the self care part of it that comes in is that with each lesson, I teach you how to love yourself and be kinder, gentler, and more loving. Because sometimes when we're burying all that stuff, we just push on and we've forgotten how to love ourselves. So that's kind of me and what I do in a nutshell.
Thank you, Juanita. It's wonderful. And those are all important things to what I do too, which is lovely. But Juanita does it in such a different way and has such a focus on it that is absolutely beautiful. So when we connected initially, it was like this instant, yes, let's do something together because of the importance of what we were talking about through our collaboration. I am a certified life coach. I work on transforming with individuals. We typically take what do you have? What do you need? What do you want? Where are you going in life? Finding clarity on that and then working through to figure out how to do it with inner peace. So, knowing that we're all capable of everything we love to do and being able to try it on and go after that, that's part of the process of what I help people do. The goal is, from my perspective, to have more peace in the world. So if each of us can have more inner peace, it's easier to interact with others. And I do that through yoga, which to me is not just the space on the mat, it's also the space off the mat. It's a lifestyle. Ayurveda, which is a sister science to yoga, which is nutrition and what we digest, everything from our food to our experiences and how we deal with that. Forgiveness is a super important part to our digestion. And then life coaching, which we, go through the process and learn tools and tips to do that. I do have some fun other things that I do like to throw in here and there, but those are the main modalities that I work with and share with others. And I love that Juanita has some different things to offer too, which is fabulous because it all works well together.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. You can never have too much or too many different ways of showing and learning about forgiveness. It's incredible. And I've been very blessed to connect with Emily and learn. And it's just been, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with learning different forgiveness methods and ways to look at it.
Yes, absolutely. So, we'd like to learn about you. We ask that maybe you'll share a little bit about your name, your location, and your favorite flower. So, if we're going to ask them to share their favorite flower, Juanita, would you mind sharing yours and I'll share mine too?
My favorite flower actually is the daisy. And the reason that it is the daisy is because it's one of my daughter's favorite flowers. And when I really look at it, it can grow in the wildest of terrain and it just shows up. So it's kind of a, metaphor for me is finding the beauty and joy everywhere.
That's awesome.
All right, Emily, your turn.
So my favorite flower is the lilac. I just love how it smells. It
Ooh,
feels so good. It is pretty short-lived, so it's also one of those things where it's like, hey, enjoy it while it's here because it's super important for that. And I also enjoy marigolds I thought at a time at when I initially started enjoying them, it was like, man, they have such a purpose, right? You put them outside your garden or your flower bed so that rabbits and other things don't come in. And then I have learned so much more about other herbs, and there's so many more things that can come, and there's so many purposes from all the flowers. So I'm sticking with lilacs because, you know, I feel so good around them, and I just light up when
Mhm.
I see them. Like it's just a beautiful part of the season too. Oh, personally, I'm from Illinois. Originally, I'm from Iowa, but we didn't share location yet, Juanita. Okay, so yeah, I'm in Illinois near Chicago on Central Time, and um, I'm in a small town. It's about 10,000 people, so it's not, a village necessarily down here, but it's about 2 hours from Chicago, which is lovely. And I grew up in Iowa in an even smaller town. It wasn't a village, but either, but it was smaller than 10,000. And so I truly enjoy that. I do enjoy seeing the cities and have traveled a number of different places in the world. But I do find a lot of inner peace from being near nature and in smaller areas where I can really find that quiet.
Mhm. Well, I am in southern Alberta and in a small town, probably 4,000, 3,000, maybe. And I am a mountain girl. I love to be near the mountains. I love to be near water. Waterfalls are actually my absolute favorite. So, and I grew up in small towns. I spent 3 years living in a city. I lived in Calgary, actually, and that was enough for this girl. That was enough for this girl. I love visiting the city, but I am definitely a small town girl at heart. So that is absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, I am checking my phone. So thanks for putting in the chat and in the comments about your favorite flower and location for those of you watching. I also realize that it's just me on the screen. So I'm going to change how I'm sharing my screen because I'd love for you to be able to see Juanita as she's here too. So hang on a second. Mhm. Here we go. Okay, we're going to try that again.
Oh, sorry, I was talking in the chat.
You're good. You're good. Okay, I think that is better. We will put in, and you'll get to see Juanita throughout the event too, don't worry. So, but now it's not just me on the screen, which makes me feel better since we are collaborating. Thanks, Juanita. And thanks for everybody for pausing for that.
Hey, no worry.
Okay. So now that we've done a little bit of our introductions, we are going to dive in. And our first thing is a self-assessment. We've got 4 areas that we're doing the assessment in. They are listed on the right. So, health and well being, love and relationships, vocation, and time and money freedom. I'd like you to pull out your journal or a blank sheet of paper if you'd prefer, and I'm going to do it too. One thing I love about these things, especially if it's a workshop, I get to learn right along with you all, and it's like being guides and supporting each other. Of course, Juanita and I are sharing with you our knowledge and talents, but we like to practice it too. So,
Absolutely. That is very true.
yes, yes. So, from 1 to 5, go ahead and rate each of the areas. 1 is low. So, maybe you're looking for something a little bit different in that area of your life, whether it's related to forgiveness or not. And maybe 5 is high. That's where, you're happy, you're satisfied. It's almost perfect. We all know perfection is every moment, but at the same time, we know we like to learn too. So, in each of these areas, and it doesn't have to be health and well-being is one and love and relationships is five. It's more of 1 through 5 for each of the four areas. So you can do 1 through 5 for health and well-being, 1 through 5 for love and relationships, 1 through 5 for vocation, 1 through 5 for time and money freedom. And the reason for this is just a gauge, right? If we don't measure it, it's hard to know sometimes, what might be going on. Ooh, thanks for sharing too in the chat. That's wonderful. So I'm the reason we're doing this and the goal I like to measure it is because then we know where we started, where we're going. We know we're going to go through a forgiveness process and learn some tools along the way. And this is just helpful to do that. So I'm writing mine down. Awesome. I'll put mine in the chat too. Okay. All of these are just our initial intuition. If something did come up, I do like to note, like, oh, why, what was coming up when I put that number? Just because that gives some reference for later, what we might want to think about related to it. However, there's no judgment, and each moment is different. And we also know that this can change. If you just had an experience with someone that was less enjoyable, you might feel a different way about that relationship than when if you had an experience with someone who was like super joyful and exciting. And so we know that, right? Life has it flows like a river. It has its adjustments along the way. Just being aware of that as a whole. Okay. Now that we have this part and we kind of know where we're starting, we're going to talk about forgiveness. And as Juanita and I have both mentioned, this is something important to both of us. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Forgiveness helps in all areas of life. And so it helps in the areas we just measured. And the process we're going through will help adjust to get closer to that five. When we live a life that we love and that feels fully ourselves, we want to be closer to a five in each of those. Anytime it's about a three or lower, there's room for improvement or something where we have like, oh, okay, there's some discontent there. So being aware of that. And that's what I want everybody to know from my perspective on what we do in the life process, the life coaching. The forgiveness provides that freedom, and I'll let Juanita dive a little bit deeper into that. It also helps us release and heal, and you'll hear both of us talk about that through the next couple of days. But I'll let Juanita talk a little more in depth about the other parts of why we are doing forgiveness.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. One of the biggest catalysts for me, um, and even like why I got into forgiveness and am so passionate about sharing forgiveness and having people forgive, is that it is almost behind just about everything that we do day to day. If you struggle in the area of forgiveness, it closes you off to developing really true, trusting, and loving relationships. You might not think so because I know I didn't. I absolutely didn't think that forgiveness itself was a wall or a barrier to other relationships, um, or other friendships. But when you're holding on to instances of unforgiveness, it's hard to be fully in a relationship. And whether that relationship is like a love or partner relationship, or whether that's a friendship, or even developing relationships with coworkers, or just every day. It's you always have that wall up that you can't trust them. Because if you have unforgivenesses within you, and it's when you release that unforgiveness, all of a sudden it's a whole world opens up to you. It's like, wow, your friendships become deeper. Your relationships with your family become deeper because you've let go. The other person who may have hurt you or the situation that you were holding on to, one of the most important things about forgiveness is that this is a gift truly for yourself. It is not about the other person, it is releasing yourself from holding on to these uh, really hard emotions. And if you're resentful, that's another big one that ties us back and holds us back, is that if you're resentful of the things that you're having to do or having to be responsible for, or in your perspective, having to be responsible for, and just those little moments of resentment get in there. And when you release all those, you're serving and you're loving without feeling that anymore. Can you imagine how great that is to feel that you're doing things for other people because you want to, because you love to serve them, help them, walk their journey with them. And you don't have that little niggle of, oh, I have to do this, or it's the expectation, I have to do this. That's gone. That's gone. When you release forgiveness, that's gone. And it's a whole other level of loving yourself, because who wants to carry around that kind of baggage? Nobody Nobody wants to feel like they have to suspect other people, resent other people, regret things that they've done. Nobody wants to do that. And so when you narrow it back down to forgiveness, it's like all those little things move away. And it's amazing. There's no greater feeling when you actually connect with yourself and with those that you love. Emily, what's your thoughts?
I'm aligned with a lot of that. And when we can have those deeper relationships, it really helps. Part of my recognition was I started practicing yoga years ago, and then I started teaching. And as I was practicing, it was there for me, the being on the mat and the movement and the meditation, connecting
Mhm.
to my body and having that feeling and connecting to the feelings helped me heal. So I started teaching. And when I was teaching, people were coming and saying this or that was coming up. And I dived more into Ayurveda, but I also, started realizing, okay, something's going on when we're moving. And part of that is healing, right? But part of it is also
Mhm.
related to forgiveness because when we hold on to something, it actually comes in the body. So we might have a tightness in different parts of the body, and that has a different effect on how we move, how we digest, how we go about our day. And so, what forgiveness has done for me beyond just connecting to my true self and knowing that, I'm loved, I'm cared. I've made imperfection from our higher being, whatever a person wants to call that. And I can be that way too, right? I can be love with those around me. It
Mhm.
does take self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others. And it takes that forgiveness of others in a radical way that, you know, we can connect with them Or we can also say, this was tough and traumatic, or maybe it's someone who's already passed, or maybe it's someone who we're not connected to anymore, but we do still need to release it. That's where I opened up to even more freedom. And I started going through a process of daily.
Mhm.
What forgiveness? What do I need to add into that? And that released more in the body. The soul releases more. And then this like free, like when you dance or have joy, it feels so good. That's what it kind of feels like for me when I talk about that freedom and that like true self, true, authentic, self-actualized person. To be able to say, okay, this is why forgiveness is so important for that. And it's become part of my daily practice and part of something that I do with the coaching or with the yoga practice, depending on what's going on. And knowing that it is that gift that you were talking about, Juanita, to ourselves and to
Mhm.
the people around us, whether they are involved in any of the situations or not. It just helps us be more ourselves and better every day for who we really, really have the capability to be. And that's why I feel like it's so important and truly connects to the
Mhm.
importance of what Juanita's doing and working with individuals for forgiveness, because there are things that can be tough in this world. There's versions of people that are upset and feel like, offering forgiveness to something going on over in Russia, right? Or something going on in the Middle East, in Israel, or other places near there. But there's also things happening, like when we react to something happening when we're driving, to something when we stub our own toe.
Mhm.
Those are little acts of forgiveness and a range of having empathy and sympathy in the world and compassion that does transform into love and allows more of that love, which is a higher frequency of operation in ourselves when we are acting in love. And it's really just absolutely beautiful in our lives to have that part of it. So, thanks for inviting me to share a little bit more too, Juanita. It's just an
Absolutely.
amazing thing.
Mhm.
So, yes, yes. And I'm checking the chat just to make sure I'm keeping up with it too. And yes, definitely something that, as we carry it with us, it has a difference than, when we release and let go and how that feels in the body. And we can even, the self-forgiveness sometimes for me has been important because I've gone through the process of forgiving the other person. But the idea of
Mhm.
forgive and forget, you never know how that part of the forget goes. And a lot of times I like to think about it as forgive and learn, because what
Mhm.
happened happened. There's no denying that part of it. What's important is saying, how do I want to see that and how do I want to carry that as part of my experience in life? Okay. So, oops, too, too
There
far.
we
There we go. Our
there we go.
5-day process includes a video. Today we're doing live. We're with you in here, and this video will also be available to you after today. I will send the link out after this. And we also will have the video at the end, technically day 6, but a celebration at the end talking about the transformation. In between, we do have short daily videos. These are pre-recorded so that but they are both Juanita and I, and we've put time and effort and the energy and the beauty of what we love to teach for that, for you to
Mhm.
watch at your convenience. The information will go out at about 1 p.m. every day, so you'll be able to see that and it'll come in so it's consistent. So you could set a timer on your calendar if you'd like, or a reminder saying, oh, check for the email. I'm ready for this today. Or maybe it's a good time to, set aside and say, okay, I'm going to do this over lunch, depending on what time a person takes lunch. Or Maybe you set the reminder right after work and it's a good transition from work into the rest of the day or whenever feels best for you. Just know that you'll be getting
Hmm.
the link to the video and you'll be getting the information. There is the journaling prompt. We are going to talk about it in the videos so that you have it for reference. We're also using it in the handout that was sent out in the initial email. So please do reference that. If there's not enough room to write all the things you want to write, you're welcome to use a separate journal too. So just being aware of that. And we also provide an affirmation to help process and transform our thoughts within in each of the videos. So you'll be able to see that and hear from Juanita and I what those are each day. Today is our kickoff. It is also day one. So we're delighted about having you here. And transformation is quite a thing, right? Even the images here, we think about a butterfly from the cocoon to the butterfly and the beauty. A caterpillar has its own beauty, a butterfly has its
Hmm.
own beauty, but it does take the effort and the time and the rest in between in the cocoon where it says, I'm going into this almost like hibernating. And so knowing that as we go through the process, things may come up. And that is a part of the journey, and we are here for you. So you're welcome to
Yes.
email or message or connect with Juanita or myself at any time, or both of us. Feel free if you want an answer from different perspectives, that is available to you. And when we're releasing, we are bringing more fluidity, almost like bringing the water in our bodies because we are about
Hmm.
80% water from something that might be more frigid like the ice to a fluid transition. And it's not
Hmm.
necessarily that we're like literally melting like a snowman, right? And disappearing and evaporating, but we are getting to a point where we can flow with life and meander with the
Hmm.
experiences and the circumstances that come up along the way. And that's also important for the process. So we are grateful you are here and a part of it as well. We love our students and those we serve, and that's part of where we're coming from. Is there anything
Hmm.
else you'd like to add today about the process, Juanita?
One of the things, thank you, Emily, for that beautiful description to start with. Um, the only thing, honestly, I would add is to highlight the time factor. And that is being gentle with yourself. It's like allow yourself the time that it takes. You know, don't get stuck in it. Don't get stuck in it, but allow yourself to feel the feelings and release them. And because some of those feelings may show up in the form of tears, some of those feelings may show up, in the form of laughter. I've had that happen where it's like stuff bubbles up and I'll just start laughing for no reason. Um, but allow the time to feel the feels. It's like you don't have to rush off. So if you're doing this like at lunchtime or you're doing this kind of as an in between, as things go, come back to it. Come back to it later. Really allow yourself to sit with the transformation because the transformation kind of chooses the time that you go through, and there's no rushing that. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, of course, of course. So that's a beautiful way to put it too, taking the time and knowing that that's part of it. Definitely being gentle with yourself is important in many ways, having that grace for ourselves just as much as we do for others.
Yes.
So, day one is about awareness and ownership, and we'll dive into that in just a moment. Day 2 is the burn of betrayal and letting go. Day 3 is forgiving myself. Day 4 is rewriting my truth. And day 5 is freedom and integration. Day 6, which I said is the bonus of our Q&A with Juanita and I, is part of the celebration and just to talk through what came up, if there's anything else we can do to help, and know that we're here beyond just the process we're doing during these 5 and the bonus 6 day. Maybe I should have saved the bonus for later to tell you all, but surprise, here it is. Okay, so
Woohoo!
um, we are delighted to share these things and be a part of the process with you. Day 1. Okay, I am going to go on to the next page just for a moment. I'm going to leave this up here. But day 1 is all about awareness and ownership. So I encourage you not to worry about what's on the screen. However, to bring out your piece of paper, your journal that you wrote, and we're going to go through a process. The first thing is we've talked a little bit about forgiveness and how it's supported ourselves in our process, in our relationships, in our environment, our world, Juanita and I have. And we'd love for you to maybe write down a little bit of what forgiveness means to you. So I'm going to give about 30 seconds or so. I know that sounds short, but I think it'll be okay. Feel free to add to it later. We do have a couple other things we're going to write down and go through today. So day 1, write down what does forgiveness mean to you? I'm going to do the same, even though we already talked about it. And then take a moment to digest what that forgiveness means, what we've talked about today. Honor yourself, celebrate that you're joining this journey, and really sharing within yourself, writing down how do you feel? If you could pick 3 emotions, phrases, I'm going to leave it open to you how you want to describe that, but writing down how you feel. And then we're going to go through the process of making a list. So I'm going to invite you to put your feet flat on the earth. Lengthen through the spine. Just take a moment, take a deep breath. Inhale in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let the eyes close. And just knowing, holding yourself if you want, feeling grounded, connected to the earth, held by Mother Earth, supported in many ways, loved in many ways, and that abundance is around you. And then we're going to do some journaling. So, opening your eyes, go ahead and list anything that's coming to mind for you that you'd like to forgive or you'd like to process through our experience. I'm going to give about 3 minutes. There's no rush. At about 30 more seconds. There's nothing wrong with a short or a long list. Just keep adding what's coming up in your mind. And then coming back, taking a moment. If there's a few more things, feel free to jot them down. It's perfectly okay. Sometimes the longer we go through, and we've got to give ourselves time, like Juanita was talking about, to really put the information out there. And if we give that time in that space, we may have a couple more things come up. And that's part of the journey too, recognizing that that can happen. And sometimes it might be even something that we felt like we've gone through the process before, but we see it in a different way and it can still come back up. Finding a good way to process it is part of what we hope to share with you through this. So, now that you've written this, just refreshing again on how you feel. If you want to write something about that, feel free. If you've got a couple new emotions coming in around that, just making sure we take note. That gives us an idea of what the difference is when we think about the things that we do want to forgive or that come up for that. And then when we think about, hey, we have gone through the process for that and the beauty of being able to do that, the actions and how that feels. Plus the feeling of support and having Juanita and I here to help with that too. Okay. So for the journal prompt, it is, what stories am I telling that no longer define who I am? You're welcome to write a little bit on that now. Maybe there's some stories and the things in the list that came up that you're like, oh, am I feeling like that happened to me or happened because I did this and it's my own fault, or is it an experience that happened that has catapulted you forward into something better and learning and just being aware of that process. Our affirmation for today is I am alive. Anytime we use the words I am, we are breathing and flowing and know that that life is within us. And when we think about being alive, we recognize that when we're like the water, we're flowing. Things ebb and flow. Of course, we would love for life to be perfect in every moment. And some things that do occur allow the perfection to occur after we learn from it too. So knowing that as we are living, breathing, we are alive and our experiences transform along the way. Is there anything you'd like to
Mhm.
add about the list or our affirmation, an alternate affirmation as well if you want, Juanita?
No, actually, I couldn't think of a better affirmation at all. That one was perfect. And how that sums up exactly day one is starting point is I am alive. And so we begin the change. Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Feels so good to be a part of this. So I'm so grateful for you all for being that and allowing us to serve you. Thank you for teaming up with me, Juanita. It's a wonderful thing. We are about to wrap up, and thank you to all of you for being here too. We are about to wrap up. Juanita and I do want you to know that you can join us further on this journey, and you can find more about us during our journey during these 5 and bonus surprise 6 days. And we would love to hear from you. That is one of the best parts. If you have a friend, not that you're like, you must join us, but that you would be like, hey, this is an experience. We are open to having more
Hmm.
folks join before we get through day 3. So
Hmm.
we do plan to have this available at a later date as well. However, if there's somebody we do feel like if they can join in before day 3, then they can still get the experience and do their 5 days along the way with us. So you're welcome to share it with anyone else that you might know. We'll still be sharing a little bit about it on our socials, and that's why you'll see some of that as a way to say this is something
Hmm.
really cool that we're thrilled to offer and do. Though
Hmm.
I wholeheartedly honor you for being like, I'm in, and being here with us today as a way to take a step forward and action on how you want to be in this world. I honor that within you and know that it's truly, truly loving and important for you. We love that you're here and we love everyone who's going to go through this process with us and is going through the process with us. So you can find more about us here. And we so appreciate. I am going to stop the recording in a moment for Q&A so we can have those conversations if there is anything about it, anything else, and we can always share more in the follow-up email when I share the video from today. Before we close though, I'm going to let Juanita close for us, but what else would you like to share with the group before we close?
Uh, First and foremost, I absolutely echo your sentiments, Emily, and it has been a real pleasure to do this event with you. For us to work together. We will reach so many who still may not understand what forgiveness is. And so this is an incredible platform, an incredible event. And yes, I echo the sentiments. If you uh, anyone, if you still want to come in before the end of the third day, you are so welcome. And yes, we will put this on again. And it's been such a pleasure. It has been and so healing. I don't know about you, Emily, but I feel so peaceful and so inspired right now. It's incredible, and I want to thank everyone who joined us here live, and everyone who may catch up with this live video and on the replay. I'm so blessed and honored that you made the choice to make the decision to start the journey. Thank you.
Thank you.